Hi everybody, it's Laura from Green Tree. This Tuesday we are talking about marinate versus marinade. Which means what, and how can you use them, and how can you make them. So first off, I'm just going to clear up the basic thing. Sorry, trying to make this focus. There we go. Sorry if that was a bit weird. But marinate versus marinade. So to marinate something, that is a verb. Marinate is what happens to your food. The marinade is the actual liquid that you're making. That's the noun. So you put something in a marinade to marinate. So I hope that that clears that up a little bit for people. And of course, that doesn't handle the sort of present tense, it's marinating, that people will sometimes say, but it should really be it's marinating. But so long as people know what you're talking about, I guess it doesn't matter all that much, so long as it comes out tasting good in the end. So today I'm demoing a really kind of a simple, easy to make marinade for you. I used it on sweet potatoes and mushrooms. I'm trying not to let this fall out of the dish as I show you guys, but they're going to be really tasty because this marinated overnight and then got roasted in our deli this afternoon. And I'm going to tell you first how to make this particular marinade, and then I'm going to explain more about what a marinade is. So the specific one that I used on today's sample was really simple. I started out with 4 tablespoons of shoyu. Oh, and this marinade that I'm going to explain to you is for about 2 pounds of chopped vegetables. You could also use it on meat. It would work either way, but about 2 pounds of material. So first, 4 tablespoons of shoyu. You could use any soy sauce. I really like the taste of shoyu. It's my personal favorite, so that's why I use this one. Then, most importantly for a marinade, you need an acid. I used lemon juice. So I used 3 tablespoons of lemon juice to the 4 tablespoons of shoyu. So now we have our salt and we have our acid. That's the 2 main things that you need for a good marinade. But I want to give it a little bit more unctuousness, a little bit more texture. So I also went ahead and added, let me make sure I got this measurement right, 2 tablespoons of any neutral flavored oil. You could use canola, safflower, sunflower, algae, like any of the kind of bland, relatively neutral tasting ones, because you don't want them to overpower the other ingredients. And because this is more of an Asian flavor that we're going for, you don't want to use something like olive oil that has a strong flavor of its own. Then, for extra flavor, I added 2 teaspoons of liquid ginger. This is basically pre-juiced fresh ginger. I really like this stuff too. You can put it in smoothies and drinks and other kinds of stuff, but it works great in marinades because, as you can see, I mean, it's juice, it's ginger juice. It's very thick, very gingery, packs a huge flavor punch, but you don't have to spend a bunch of time peeling it, and you can just keep this handy in the fridge. So 2 teaspoons of ginger juice, and then 2 teaspoons of garlic flakes or minced garlic. I used the dried kind, so when I'm talking about minced or flaked garlic, I'm talking about the kind that has this heavier texture. You could use granules, but you're not going to get that little nice garlic chunkiness in your finished product that you will get if you use the flakes. You could also do this from fresh. You could mince the garlic yourself, or you could use, got some here behind me, you could use the kind of minced garlic that comes in a jar. Really any one that gives you this slightly coarser but still very fine texture. 2 teaspoons of that. So that is what I used for this particular marinade that I used on the sweet potatoes and mushrooms. It's really nice because it's got a savory flavor, but a little bit of Asian flair with the ginger and the shoyu. You could use it on chicken. You could use it on other heavy vegetables like zucchini, other types of mushrooms. I used button mushrooms. I wouldn't use it on regular potatoes because it kind of soaks in a way that turns them mushy, but any vegetables you wanted to roast, any cubed meat you wanted to use. So the key thing here is that we've got an acid in this. That's what makes it a marinade. In this case, it was lemon juice, but you could also use lime juice, which I love, great for like Southwest and Asian flavors. You could use vinegar, something that had a little bit of flavor to it, not a white vinegar, something like a white wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, or raspberry vinegar, because any of these acids are going to help break down the cell walls and get the flavor into the food. You could also use, and this is a classic, wine. So wine is always great as the acid in a marinade. So you need an acid component, you need some kind of additional flavor. I used ginger and garlic. You could use fresh herbs, you could use chopped onions, you could use other types of spice rubs and dry spices, but you want something in there that's going to provide some extra oomph, and then the acid is going to carry it into the food. I really recommend some kind of salt, like the shoyu, not only because it helps increase the flavor, but it also helps make it safer to keep your food submerged in the marinade for as long as overnight. If you're using raw food, whether it's raw vegetables or raw meat, there is a finite amount of time that you could store it before cooking it. And between the salt and the acid, you're prolonging that a bit when you're soaking it in a marinade. So, if you really want to get into marinades, I really recommend this book, Get Saucy. I know it's backwards. Sorry about that, guys. There's a huge section on marinades. It's a whole big part here. It also deals with stuff like barbecue sauces and other types of dressings. But the main thing that it's going to let you know is that you need to have something that breaks through the cell walls. Otherwise, it's just a brine. So if you do something that's just salty, that doesn't have any acid, that's a brine and not a marinade. So it's still going to taste good, but it's going to do something different to your food, and it won't have the tenderizing effect that a marinade has because of the acid. Hi, Trinity. So even though the acid and the salt help preserve your food, it got hot today, you guys. Even though the acid and the salt help preserve your food as they are soaking in the marinade, as they're marinating in the marinade, you don't want to use that sauce directly on the finished dish. So I was able to keep the sauce. I don't know if I can show you without smelling it. You can kind of see there in the bottom, I was able to keep that liquid as part of this finished dish because I cooked it. So anytime you want to keep the marinade liquid and use it as a sauce, you have to bring it up to a safe temperature. In this case, we did it roasting in the oven because this is a vegetable dish. It's not as much of a risk. But if you are marinating meat, it is essential, like 100% should not be skipped step, to take that marinade, put it in a separate pot while you're cooking the meat, and bring it up to a full boil. You need to do that to kill off any pathogens that are potentially present from the raw meat before you use it in the finished dish. So those are my main tips in terms of marinating. You need an acid, salt is great for taste, and you have to make sure if you want to keep the sauce, you bring it fully up to temperature. So yeah, anything you want to have taste delicious, soak it overnight in a marinade, and by the next day, you're going to have flavor like nobody's business. If you want to try this lovely, delicious vegetable dish that we marinated here, I'll be doing that till about 5:30, maybe 6 o'clock here in the store. Come on down and give it a try. And I'll also have this book here if you want to take a look through it. It's my own personal copy, so I'm going to take it home after today, but I've got it here tonight if you're curious about sauce making. Also, last little tip, if you are going to learn anything about making sauces, there are 3 that I recommend. Learn how to make a basic vinaigrette, learn how to make a basic white sauce, and learn how to make a basic marinade. So there you go. I hope that helped you guys out, and have fun cooking. Happy Tuesday. Bye.